Hello, LightHearted Rainbow Tribe. Good to be with you again today. I hope that this unfolding itself as you is going beautifully. It is not without its challenges, though, is it? So please, let us give ourselves a delicious moment to be still, to open in silence, to rest and relax back, and touch down into the peace, and that passes all understanding. Our experience as it is, whatever it is perfect. And to really apprehend that, to enter into our experience until that becomes what we recognize, that really takes something. And that's why the sacred life of being is not for wimps. It can require a lot. And you speak from, my own direct experience, that all the places where I've had arguments with my experience and what's going on and what's unfolding in my life, and having had the revelation of the perfection of the unfolding, as I call it, it's taken a lot of work to sit in the middle of whatever it is that's going on and be interested to find out, how could this possibly be perfect? And so there's a necessity to go into the depths of imperfection. And we don't know what's going to be revealed there. I mean, I can say a lot of really lovely things But until you discover it for yourself, it's just something lovely that somebody said. So to make it real, that's the work of a sacred life. The good news is that what is real and what is true is already so, and it's all inclusive. And we can know that, but we may not feel it, and we may not experience it, and we may not embody it, and we may not be living it. So telling the truth about our experience as it is, and to recognize, yeah, that feels right, or that sounds right, or I really get that, and yeah, it's really here. It's established in my system as so. That's a process. And it may happen in a flash. And what I found with people who have sudden awakenings or revelations or realizations, it doesn't always come all the way in. For some people it does. But for some people it doesn't come all the way in. And so you can look at a wonderful being like Mother Teresa, for example, and there was such controversy about releasing her diaries and the very real experience of suffering that she was having. And to be able to discover that she acted upon and lived out the realization that came to her, the vision that came to her, the life of spirit that she recognized was so, and yet at the same time experienced not feeling or experiencing the direct presence of Christ with her. It's amazing what she accomplished and what the Christ in her, that so clearly was expressing as her, accomplished in her life. While at the same time there was an individual who was feeling a deep sense of painful separation. The realization of no self, no mind, no doer. It harkens upon the grief that we were talking about yesterday. Because the loss of self is the loss of the object. And the release of the objects of mind is the release of the self. And so when self and mind and doing cease to be operating as a system, as an operating system of human personhood, there's something pretty amazing that happens. Because there is the openness into the limitless and boundless dimensions. And so where there's no self comes in omnipresence. Where there's no mind comes in omniscience. Where there's no doer comes in omnipotence. Now, isn't that a crazy thing? So when we open into the three omnis, O3, and our consciousness expands out into the boundless dimensions, there can be a good deal of confusion in the system about how to continue to operate as an individual. And that's wonderful. Because, there's been enough people who have done this that it's known and it's possible. And as we stay with it, we come into a different kind of deep appreciation for our existence as this beingness, presence, omnipresence, in individualized form, free of identity, free of self. And we come into a different appreciation of intellect and mental capacities when they are illumined and infused with the wisdom and light of omniscience. And the instruments and avenue of articulation that comes through. And we come into a deeper appreciation of this in action, the almighty, omnipotent beingness that is everything in action everywhere, all the time. And that includes us. And our action center is in the belly. So we appreciate that. We appreciate our heart at a whole different level as the presence of being. And we appreciate our minds, our head center, at a whole nother level. And it's all being utilized for the presence's work and purposes in this realm of being. There are times when we will grieve the loss of our subject-object relation, this primary origin story of our childhood and the formation of our identities, our psyches. And we go through levels and layers sometimes of resistance because the territory we're entering into is unfamiliar. There aren't a lot of people modeling how to live this. It's not the commonly held operating system of human beings. That's why this is such a radical shift in consciousness, and why it's so important to find people, like I mentioned yesterday, who have the capacity to be a companion and a good friend in this, and are interested in this journey and sharing how it's unfolding in them. Because no two people do this the same way, even when they're practicing identical practices. That's the amazing thing about this. There is so much to be discovered, and a lot of what I share here is what is alive and real for me in the moment. And you may have to take several leaps to truly grok it. But that's okay. There's seeds being planted. Because if someone doesn't demonstrate what it is to be this alive and to be this real in the fullness, and admittedly this here is still a work in progress. But if somebody isn't out here saying, this is what it is, folks, this is what it really is to be a fully human, divine creature, how is anybody going to know where they can get to? So we need people to be embodying this, to be living this, to be working themselves into deeper realization. And realization is endless. This is an incredible adventure. So to breach the walls, to burst free out of the encapsulations, is no small thing. And there are resistances, there are subtleties, there are aspects of our desires for security and safety that operate in the identification that come to light all in good time. and are part of the perfection of the unfolding. And they are utilized beautifully. Our experience is utilized beautifully by this that is unfolding itself to reveal itself and offer what it is, offer itself to us as these crystallizations in identification and in our sorrow and grief for our separation, and even our guilt and shame and our rage and anger and our terror and fear and our hatred and our loves and our desires and our wants and everything that we come equipped with. Everything plays its part. Grieving the loss of the self and other, of the primary object relations of our childhood. It's in effect also grieving our childhood, what it was and what it wasn't. And when we come through grieving, you know, the last stage of grief is acceptance. And in that acceptance, there's a freedom to grow beyond, to mature beyond, to come into a degree of presence and life that was not available to us through the vehicles of the people around us in our childhood. And that's what needs to happen for this world to change. We need to grow beyond that. So when you welcome into yourself the no self, the no mind, which is terrifying to cultures where the mind rules, and empty out into the fear. If I release all this and the non-doer, what am I going to do? Just sit around and contemplate my navel all day? Well, that happens for some people. And you may find that you do want to spend part of your day contemplating your navel, opening into your belly, experiencing what's there, because that's where your action center is. And the action center, when it is enlivened by the presence of being and this love that wants to express itself in this world, it picks you up and takes you. And so then you have somebody that's, this incredible being that is offering the presence wherever it is, wherever you are, wherever you're given to be, whatever you're given to perceive and experience and to live. So demonstrating, as our little sign up there says, demonstrating the sacred world, sacred life, sacred planet, inhabited by beings who recognize and live sacredly. It all goes together. It's all one thing. And that's what we get to realize and live. That's what is the joy of being this, real and alive. So I am as ever grateful for your interest, your participation, joining in this journey, in the discovery of really what it's going to take for us in the middle of the kind of crisis of futility that's going on in our world right now, to shift things in a powerful way, in a most profound way, and in a way that is the only way that will allow us to keep on living this human experiment on this planet. We, of ourselves, we can't do it. And that's the crisis of futility. And so instead of what a friend of mine called lacktivism yesterday, the inability to act in the face of the overwhelming information of all the different things that are being done. We discover something that is alive and active within us, that is generating and ingenious, and that each of us has a contribution to make that's unique to us. And it's important, extremely valuable, that we discover it and we offer it. So as ever, I'm here to support you in that, and with the recognition that we bring the new dawn. It comes through us. It's not coming from someplace else. And so may this illuminate your whole being, the hearts, the minds, the bellies, the bodies, the souls of the one being that is everyone, everywhere. That we might have our collective new day on a new and sacred earth with a species that has come to play.